Hello, and thank you for taking the time to check out my tool here and some updates that I've made over the past season. Last year, I was posting these pretty regularly to the fantasy football subreddit. People seem to enjoy it. Some people question its value. Some people believed in it 100%. It's kind of what you make of it. I think it offers a lot of data that's very useful to make some decisions in terms of who to start. And I'm hoping to add to that value as we progress. So visually, I've made a couple updates since last season, changed the background, changed just some of the transparency, sizing, etc. I'm hoping it doesn't look like just a big jumbly mess to you. I think once you kind of get used to what it means, it's not that hard to figure out what you're looking for. Really, the overall idea is that I'm trying to show strength at position and then also where there's injuries and obviously questionable players. So just looking at what we're looking at now, we can see that the Tennessee Titans here, who are on the defensive side of the ball, have a couple of injuries at right cornerback and at their weak side linebacker position. There's kind of an overlap here. I got to do a couple bugs I got to work out, but you can see right off the bat there's a couple injuries in their backfield or their defensive secondary, I should say. And then for the New Orleans Saints, they've got an injured running back, an injured right guard that looks like he doesn't even have a backup, so that could be more of an issue, and a couple of wide receivers who are down. The transparent ring is the value indicator, meaning the strength of the player at that particular position, or at least their top strength. I don't do a sum because they could have 10 free safeties, and that would make that kind of not useful because you're just summing the value of everybody. I just want to know the top player and his value, and then if that particular person is injured, what kind of impact that would have on that value. So at right guard, you can see his value is probably in the 70s, 74 is his strength rating. By the way, you can get these stats just by clicking on a position. Different positions have different stat groupings. At right guard, there's not a lot to go off of, so I put in their snap count, and this is for last year at this point. As we get into the next year, this will update. It'll start at 0, and then increase. The only holdover from last year will be obviously height and weight. Age will change as they age, etc. But games and snap count will update for lineman position throughout the year. Anyway, so this entire value at this position is worth nothing because this person is on injured reserve. Whereas at right cornerback, I guess they're all kind of even here, 70s and 69. Not a huge discrepancy in strength value, but their top guy still is available, but they are at least thin at that position. And then at free safety, Kevin Byard is super strong and super healthy. You can see some of his stats here. Like I say, different positions will display different stats, and I'll be adding a couple more. I do want to see how many games everybody played. I guess on the secondary I have that all in there at this point, but I'll be adding a couple more stats to these areas. But he registered 4 interceptions last year, 6 defended passes, et cetera, et cetera. So he's a good player. So you can see that just by the indicator. So overall, the Tennessee Titans are pretty strong in their backfield, their secondary on the left side of the ball, and relatively strong on the right side of the ball. Maybe on the inside they have a little bit of a gap. Not a tremendous nose tackle, but we've also got a little bit of an injury here on the Saints line that might prohibit Alvin Kamara from doing much damage on the ground anyway. So again, you can drill down into each position and see what stats are available. So my reasoning, or part of my reasoning for this too, is looking at who the next guy in line is. Like, we all start our studs, we know to do that, but we also want to know if someone goes down, who might we start in their place. So this table is supposed to help with that decision. So let me try and find a team, someone with a little bit more of an injury issue. Well, here's a good example of maybe taking advantage of the Arizona Cardinals, because the whole left side of the ball looked pretty banged up, and their top guy, Buda Baker is a super strong player with strength value of 91, is down. So we don't even know. Josh Thomas doesn't have a value yet. I'm going to crowdsource this value for rookies and people without missing values. This value actually comes from Madden Football. This is their overall rating. I've used a dozen different techniques to kind of come up with this value on my own, but I just feel like they know a player up and down, and this is kind of their overall strength, like their speed, their pass catching, their route running, like all these different things combined into one value. So it's just cool to see when you see a giant circle surrounding a position. You're like, oh, that makes sense, because that is Terry McLaurin. He's a strength 93. They also have Curtis Samuel at 82. So they have two top, very high ranked receivers. Again, part of the usefulness of this interface is looking for, the middle guys. So again, we know to start our top players, but we don't know who else to start, because the middle ground people are so hard to determine. So maybe here on the Seattle Seahawks, we can look in their backfield and see that they're very thin at running back position right now, because they've got three people down. So DJ is going to get his opportunities, and Kenneth Walker is going to get his opportunities. Not that they didn't last year. It looks like, he was the dominant runner anyway, but they're going to rely on him even more so, because they just don't have anybody to back him up currently. We'll find out as the season progresses. Maybe Tony Jones steps up, maybe Goodwin. I can't say that last name, I'm not going to try, but these people might step up and take that place. But this at least gives us kind of a top-down list of who is next in line should the top player go down. So if Kenneth Walker were to get injured, we'd know just straight away to go all the way down to DJ Dallas. He's going to get his carries that week. So again, my hope is that you can use this table to just kind of go down the list here, especially if the top players are down. Who are those middle guys that are going to take up the slack? And then not only determine that, but you can see the Rams are very weak on the left side of the ball here, in the secondary and even on the front line. So we could take advantage of that. I can make the assumption that those wide receiver corps of the Seattle Seahawks is probably going to have a decent game. They do have a great right side cornerback in Jalen Ramsey, so probably going to take out their top guy and then be shadowed, with their strong safety. But there's opportunity here, given that this side of the ball is pretty weak for the Rams. I think I've covered most of it. So basically, again, top-down view, you're just looking at the Rams have a lot of injuries on the line. Maybe not the best day to take Cam Akers, until they figure this out. But considering that because they can't run, they'll be chucking the ball quite a bit. Okay, here's a good example of top players going down. So Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson are down. So who do you go to next? Well, in terms of talent and strength, according to Madden, Van Jefferson's their next guy. In terms of targets, you can also see how many targets a player gets. You might go for Ben. I'll never say this guy's last name. I always forget that one too. But you can kind of make your assumption on who is next in line. So it looks like there's going to be a lot of opportunities for these guys. Matthew Stafford's down, so obviously Baker Mayfield is going to be next in line here to play or to start. Obviously this is preseason stuff, so we're not 100% sure what it's going to look like at the start of the season, but this is kind of just the top-down view of how this tool works. For colorblind people, I've got a little switch to turn the blue to green. I know that is better than green and yellow. Those kind of blend together. So you can swap that on and off. I also have a little special teams window here. Sometimes that will make a big difference in terms of field position. and then also just kind of a little injury watch. I'm going to redesign this window still. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it. Again, soon I want to crowdsource these strength values, especially for missing players. So if you have any feedback there, or if you think it's just a dumb idea to use Madden statistics, let me know. You know, like, this is kind of a work in progress, but so far I feel like this is a pretty strong top-down view of where positions are valuable and can make some difference in the game. Thank you for watching, and please offer any feedback, comments, criticisms. I'm always open to hearing. Thank you.